Most people think a t-shirt graphic is just about making something that looks cool. But this design right here, it was built to tell a story, not just a shirt. And the difference between those two is everything. If it's your first time here, I'm Joe Barron, creative director of Branded Barron, a New York-based creative agency. On this channel, we talk about art, design, branding, and the thinking behind the visuals. And today, I want to break down a piece I created for Deli Fresh Threads, and more importantly, the strategy behind it. So let's talk about the context about this project. This project came from a conversation with Biggie, also known as the Chief Sandwich Officer behind Deli Fresh Threads. And what makes this brand interesting is it's not just apparel. It's a full world. It's sandwiches, it's characters, it's storytelling. It's a brand with personality, layered in between bread. So when I approached the design, I wasn't thinking, what would look good on a t-shirt? I was thinking, how do I build something that feels like it already belongs in their universe?
I will be honest with you, I've never worked with a designer that kind of has done it the way you do it. It's very methodical. There is a process, and I do appreciate it.
And that right there is the difference. It wasn't just about making something that looked cool. There was a real process behind making sure it fit in the Deli Fresh Threads world. Let's break this down and get into the meat of this design sandwich. The idea was to create a vintage NASCAR racing style t-shirt like the one you would see at a thrift shop. Luckily, having created so many Harley-Davidson t-shirt graphics, Biggie knew I was the perfect fit for this design. It's important to mention that I knew this brand is colorful, nostalgic, fun, and that what I create has to still be on brand. When I thought about those racing graphics, while it looked cool, its culture has something in common with Deli Fresh. It has identity, it has loyalty, it has team energy, and a built-in world of sponsors, characters, and history. So instead of forcing the design, I matched the energy of the brand to an existing visual culture. So my process is very systematic. I have phases during each step of the way where there's an approval for each milestone before proceeding. That even goes for mood boards. And it's not just for me to create sketches, but it's also for the client. And it's important to note that a mood board is a collection of styles, ideas, colors, fonts, etc. It's to help the client and yourself establish the feel for the design. You're not just copying something, but you're focusing on elements from previous imagery so you can create your own concept. So once I got the approval on the mood board and the sketch concepts, I got to work. So let's break this down. Let's talk about the hero element, the number 62 detail. So front and center, you'll see the number 62. That's not random. That ties back to 1762, the origin story of the sandwich. So now in the graphic, this isn't just a number, it's a reference point. It gives the design depth, and it becomes a historical nod. So Deli Fresh Threads has their mascot, the Biggie bread. And I needed to incorporate that, or at least I personally wanted to incorporate that. So the way I added the Biggie bread mascot into the design, originally I placed it on the shirt with racing flags, but it was too much. It's the Deli Fresh mascot, and it deserves to have its happy self on the hood of the car. And to create the world building, one of the favorite parts of this design is the sponsor logos. None of them are real, but they feel real, and that's intentional. Because, you know, if you look at the racing culture, sponsors are everything. It kind of what funds the driver, right? I didn't come up with the names, and while that would have been fun, the names were already decided and from previous Deli Fresh Threads t-shirts. I did enjoy creating simplified logos for them, and doing so, I continued to bring that world to life. So I use that structure to reinforce the brand identity, add visual density, and make the shirt feel like a part of a bigger ecosystem. And this is how you turn a design into something people want to look at more than once. And maybe wear more than once, right? So let's talk about the print strategy. You know, we want to design for reality. We want to think at the end of the product. This design was going to be screen printed. So I had to keep the screen printing in mind. We kept it around 4 colors max. Actually, 4 colors was the max limit that I was allowed. So thinking of screen printing, I need to make sure that the design, it needs to print clean, it needs to feel good, and to be scalable. Well, printing and feeling good, that's usually on the printer, but it's always good to recommend certain inks. To give you that vintage, worn-in feel, I decided that a grunge texture would be great. And so I decided to add that to break up the clean vector lines. But ultimately that didn't work out because it didn't fit with the brand's look and the brand's feel and the brand's vibe. I'm gonna give my own Branded Baron takeaway. So this is the part that most people miss. A lot of designers focus on, how do I make this look better? Or how do I make this look awesome? Well, you want the design to look good. You have to think, how do I make this mean something? How does it fit with the brand's audience? Does it connect with them? Because when a design has meaning, it's more memorable. It connects faster. And it actually helps sell. And that's the difference between decorating a shirt and building a brand asset. Yeah, you'll have people who buy because the graphic is cool, but adding meaning really does help sell. If you're building a clothing brand or even just designing your next piece, start thinking beyond the graphic. Think about the world it lives in. Think about the story it tells. And think about how every detail reinforces that, because doing so continues to add to the brand.
Appreciated listening to the videos of not only being able to visually see it, but also the videos of you talking about what you were trying to do and what it was and the layout, and then doing the mood boards. Definitely very different than what I'm traditionally have done. Usually it's like, hey, I go back and forth, but it was definitely a great experience. I definitely enjoyed it. I think it was a lot of fun to be able to see the different stuff. We basically would share it on my TV, and I would have my family kind of like look at it and be like, okay, what mood are you guys thinking? What do you guys think of like the 3 different versions or concepts? And then we kind of went back and forth, and I thought it's very, very systematic, and I think it's great.
If you're looking for designs for your company, reach out. Branded Baron would love to help bring your next concept to life. If you want more breakdowns like this, whether it's merch, branding, or creative strategy, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Stay creative.
Let's stay creative. Let's talk design, photos, branding, built to create, built to last, built to last, built to last.